my God. Oh, we're live. Okay,
we are live. Woo.
Hello. Welcome to the Mother Days. I'm Teresa Palmer.
And I'm Sarah Wright Olsen. And you caught us in the middle of a very silly conversation.
We were having a naughty little chat, weren't we?
A naughty chat. I couldn't even say the word naughty. I was just like, we're just
naughty.
Silly.
No, it sounds, my accent sounds so weird with that word naughty, and yours is naughty. What sounds naughtier? Does it sound naughty? You're so naughty.
I know. Yours sounds like a proper version of naughty, like naughty. It's like, oh, is it though?
Don't be so naughty. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh my God, I can't.
We were talking about, should we just tell them what we're talking about? Okay,
sure. Might as well.
We were talking about, so Mark's, like we love my hubby. He was in a little dark Mark funk for
everybody knows
actually
dark Mark.
Like, yes, he's talked about it on the podcast before. So like dark Mark came out. It was my fault actually. I truly believe it was my fault because I triggered him.
We gotta get Dr. Stan back in here.
Well, I seriously was like, should we go speak to Dr. Stan? He was like, I think we're okay. I was like, okay, I think you're fine. But like you're supposed to have each other's user manual, right? And one of the main things that I know not to do with Mark, I did basically. And he got so triggered and so sad, and it brought up all of his stuff. And I was saying to Sarah, sometimes all they need is a little sex, just a little loving, a little shebang, a little like you're so hot, like just make out with them, just be like, oh my God. And it like happened to coincide with me like feeling really horny anyway. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. Like I want to be with my man. It's also going to help him like pull out of his funk. And so I was saying that I just jumped on in there, and guess what? He's got a little skip in his step this morning. He's like joyful. He was sort of like whistling out the door. And Sarah was like, sometimes it's so simple. Sometimes it's just so simple like that.
Well, it's funny because, honestly, like you had already worked through. So Mark and I, we're very similar, right? But you'd already worked through like so many of the like issue part of it, like the conversation part of it. So really it's just like, there are some people in a relationship who like have the conversation. It's over. We're done. Walk away. Okay. Back to like normal life. Like everything's fine. And then there's people like me who afterwards you are still carrying. Now, I would say that I've probably gotten better at this later on in life, but you're still carrying the weight of the conversation and things that were said and like whatever. So it's like, it's still weighing on your heart. And so some people go internal and get like dark during that time. And other people are like, boom, it's all out. I feel good. Blah, 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 blah.
And they just want a little affection.
I know. And I'm like, I just need a few cuddles. I need some cuddlies, some kissies.
A little of licky the fan, that would just be great.
I don't know. For me, I think it's not that. It's more like I need you to be like, I love you. I'm not going anywhere.
Yes. Mark. I was going to say he needs both. Oh my God. He doesn't need his fanny licked. He doesn't even have a fanny. Oh my God.
He needs you to lick his fanny.
God. No, but anyway, I've gone red. I'm red in the face.
She's red. This is the perfect way to start this episode because y'all, we went on our girls trip. We did.
Which, by the way, Mark thought was all about licking the fan.
Which is the craziest. I was like, what is he talking about?
Mark was like, oh, are you like getting your female fantasies out there? And I was like, excuse me.
On the first trip that we've ever taken, we just decided to go full on like
lesbian together with all the gals. I was like, yes, that is the true meaning, the true purpose of this is just to hook up with chicks. I know. I was like, I think this is your fantasy. Like there he is being like, oh, what's my wife doing over there around with all those hottie chicky babes? Anyway. So it was fun.
God.
There was no licky of the fans. We were just hanging out. We were pampering ourselves. We were horse riding. I didn't even gyrate on the horse. I was ovulating and I didn't even. I just rode that horse very normally. And I wanted to canter though. I did want to go faster on the horse. I will say Rachel and I were planning on going the next morning, but I feel like too many drinks were consumed the night before and we stayed up quite late. And then it was like no one really felt like being in the burning sun doing another horse ride. It was so hot.
It would just happen to be like 100 degrees where we went the whole time. So it was like so boiling hot when we all got in the horses. But I will say that, well, I had a crazy horse. My horse was John Wayne. And John Wayne, I get on John Wayne and they're like, he doesn't really love being in the line. I'm like, you mean exactly what we're doing? Okay, great. I'm so glad I'm the only one that grabbed a helmet for this moment.
She was. And I was like, oh, that's so Sarah. I love it. She's like,
safety first.
Should we get safety, Sam? I like, my hat was looking too cute. I was like, I need to rock this cool cowboy hat. And I was like, I think we're only walking.
This is why I was never the cool kid, is because even though my hat was so awesome, I wore it on my back and not on my head. And I wore the giant helmet instead. And it was like a little large for me.
You started the hat craze though on the trip. She went and like bought this hat from the shop. And I was like, that is actually the cutest hat I've ever seen on you. You must get it. She buys it and then everyone was like, oh my God, where did you get that from?
Basically, I should get a cut because I sold about 15 hats.
You really did. By the end of the trip, you can see the progression of the photos. Like some people had a hat in the first photos and then by the last, everyone was wearing these cowboy hats.
The exact same hat, except for Teresa, whose hat was handmade. It was gorgeous.
Yes, it was chic. Shout out to Cherie Comerford. Thank you for my hat.
Gorgeous.
It was gorgeous. But also we saw a tarantula. That was crazy. We saw a massive tarantula on the trail. And apparently it's mating season.
Yes.
So they're like running around to go and find other tarantulas to go humping with.
Yeah.
And this was freaking ginormous. Like you talk about the big spiders in Australia. I was like, there are no spiders that size in Australia. That was huge.
I mean, it was really big.
It was massive.
Really big. Yeah.
It was massive.
It was crazy. But okay, I need to keep going with my John Wayne real quick.
Yes,
so
tell us.
John Wayne doesn't want to be in the line, which is all we're doing is walking in a line. And then John Wayne, they're like, well, he has his certain horses he likes to be around. So they place me in line somewhere, right? And then automatically John Wayne starts skipping the line. He's like going towards the front. And I'm like, first of all, this is horribly embarrassing. Like I can't control him. I keep pulling him. He keeps ripping the things out of my hands. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Then they start to take off and he runs past the guy next to me, runs ahead to the night. We're not supposed to be running. And so he like runs quickly ahead. And I was like, whoa, and then the Wrangler guy comes by and he's like, oh yeah, John Wayne's a big baby. He's like, you really got to like work him a little bit. He's like, here, try this. And he's like teaching me exactly what to do because it's so specific. The whole entire ride, you guys, this horse had to be like constantly pulled back away from the horse in front of him. And when the horse in front of him's tail would like swish back and forth, he would jump backwards. And so I was like, wow. And even in the photo, there was like a photo where they were lining everybody up. And I was telling Eric this because he was like, this is just so perfectly you. But like they line all the horses up. And then of course, like the moment she goes to take a picture, my horse decides to do a U-turn and turn all the way back around. So then it's like, oh, I got to go around again. And then he goes sideways. And then they're like, okay, we're going to like follow this line and go. And then he doesn't do that. And so I was like, oh my gosh. So we get to the end of the whole ride, which has been stressful for me because my guy is not a listener. And I get off and then the two Wranglers come up to me and they're like, hey, thanks so much for babysitting John Wayne. He's so emotional. He needs constant attention. And I was like, excuse me? why is he in this group?
It's because you put intermediate. You were like, I'm an intermediate to potentially advanced. They would have been like,
I
that
did
girl.
not put advanced.
No, but like they would have looked at you and been like, she looks like a horse rider. She said intermediate. Like, let's give her John Wayne.
Never write intermediate, okay?
You had to mother the horse.
I had to mother that damn horse the whole time.
You really had to mother the horse. Apparently mine was meant to be crazy because I also put intermediate. I was about to be like advanced. Have you guys seen Ride Like a Girl?
Have you seen my movie?
But then I was like, no, I'm not going to put advanced because I knew I would get some crazy horse.
Yeah, for sure.
Mine was pretty cool. I forgot his name. It wasn't Piccolo, was it? Something like that. Piccolo.
No.
Pretty
boy? Was yours Pretty Boy?
No, mine wasn't. Polaris. That was it. Piccolo. Where did I get Piccolo from? Anyway, probably because we're talking about musical instruments just before.
Yes. Oh my God.
So he did one chomp of our friend, he bit horse.
He bit another horse.
A chomp into the ass.
Great,
and that was it. One chomp. And I was like, oh, that was pretty chill.
Not good.
But I know. It was so fun. I had such a blast on that trip. It was funny, like, when I'm out of my comfort zone a little bit, which it was all, apart from you and obviously Rachel and Olivia, I didn't know anyone else. Like, I always think that I am just like such an extrovert, that I'm just like out there. I'm so social. But as I've gotten older, I definitely like I'm a little quieter, and then I have to find my person, and then I warm up, and then I'm really myself. Yeah. So I had like the nerves like you kind of have on your first day of school where I'm like, oh my gosh, like who are these? What are these girls going to be like? And then of course, like I meet this one girl and she like talks about herself. Her name's Jessica. She was like, I'm like a manifesting expert. And I was like, we were like, my God. The entire weekend, I was like, I am sticking with this girl, and we are talking about manifesting, and we were on the horse ride, and I wasn't even really looking at my surroundings. I was deep diving into manifesting with her, and it was so fun. I said to Sarah,
we're bringing her on the podcast.
I had the best conversation with her. I loved her style because obviously we've had a few different people on the podcast talking about manifesting. But hers was really specific. So I had her break it down like step by step in 5 different steps. So we're going to have her come on the podcast. In fact, I think we're going to have all the girls we met come on the podcast.
They're amazing.
They were all so inspiring, and like what a cool thing to be thrust into a situation where you're around like-minded people. How was your household when you left? Did your household stick together? Oh my God, you got to tell that funny story about Wyatt and the text and the like.
Oh yes,
you got to do that.
Okay. So,
it was so good.
The household was great. When I was leaving, I have to say, shout out to my husband because he was so unbelievably like over the top excited for me to go and do this experience. Yes. Like the moment that I told him that this was something that I wanted to do, he was like, you have to do it. And everyone around me was like, you have to do it. And so I was like, wow, okay. Like I felt so encouraged, and like, I don't know, half the time I'm like, is this going to be a burden on anyone? Like the kids or whatever. And like, he was just beyond like so supportive. So that felt really good. And so then I got, winter ready and like weaned her off of nights, but it was like hell leading up to actually leaving because she had like a weird regression and just like cried for hours in the middle of the night for 2 nights.
Oh my gosh.
So by the time I got left to go away, I was so tired because I'd had like 5 hours of sleep or something the night before. So I just like, it was not great. And Teresa did not have great sleep the night before either. No. So when we actually left, it was like, a little cuckoo only for that reason. But yeah, I was just going to say really quick that I don't think there's ever like a lot of time to just sit around and talk to people. And a lot of times there's like big distractions. You know, it's either like your kids or someone comes in and interrupts, or like, you know, you are checking your phone or like whatever it is. Right. And so this just happened to be like amazing time where we could sit and have conversations with people and just be in the moment, which was really cool. And the company was called The Great that put it together. They're like an amazing clothing company by Emily and Merritt. And so they put this whole women's retreat together. And they brought really interesting, incredible people together. And so every person that I sat to talk to, I was like, wow, like blown away by them. If it was like a birth story or like a business story or family story or like stuff that they're dealing with at home or like whatever it is, it was just fast. Everything was incredible and fascinating. I felt so inspired. But so the first day was great. Day 2, I get a text message from Wyatt's computer, because like Wyatt now has a computer at school and he can only text me or Eric, right? So he like types to me, how's it going? And I was like, oh, this is so cute. You know, it's like the first time my kid can like write to me, you know? And so I write him back and I was like, it's great. And I sent him a picture at like 7 a.m. with my coffee mug all alone outside because no one showed up on time. And
she was a nerd, the teacher's pet, always rocking up like, you know, right on the dot, like, first one there. And there's just a lot of pictures of me alone at all the places before anyone showed up. So it's like at the breakfast table, by the campfire, like I was just first there. Anyway, so I get this message, I write back and I'm like, it's going great. And I'm like, how's it going there? And Wyatt writes back, Dad got 26 minutes of deep sleep. And this was after Eric had said it went great. Like, she said we had lots of cuddles. The night was, you know, he's obviously keeping it to himself so that she can enjoy her time there. And so Sarah was like, oh my God, it went so great with Winter and Eric, and they just cuddled all night. And then she gets this message from Wyatt.
And I get the message like, Dad got 26 minutes of deep sleep. And I was like, oh my gosh, what actually happened last night? And I was like, oh, that's so funny. And I was like laughing to him, and he wrote back and said like, ha ha ha. Because like obviously Eric just wanted me to like have fun, unplug, don't stress, you know? So he didn't want me to know
so going
that like
great.
Everything's great. Everything's great.
And then he sent a photo of Winter. This is so funny. He sent a photo of Winter on the way to school and she's just fast asleep at like 8 a.m. or whatever. And Sarah was like
no, I wrote back and said, is she sick? Or did she not sleep last night? Because that is not normal. That's not, she shouldn't be falling asleep in the car.
Oh my God. And it makes me laugh so much because we all know how much Eric loves his sleep as well.
Oh my God.
Bless him that he was just everything went great. Everyone slept really well. And you know what's so funny? So the following night, Winter slept with their nanny, Sonia, in the bed. And guess who else slept with my mum the following night?
Oh
the
my
girls.
Gosh. Really?
Yeah. And I was laughing so much because the first night the dads like slept with them. And then the second night, like Sonia slept with Winter and my mum slept with Poet and Prairie. And I was like, that is hilarious.
That's
I bloody
amazing.
love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's so cute. How did it go for you?
Well, things were pretty good at my house. I feel like I didn't have the entire same experience as you did leading up to it, where like Mark was just only positive about me going. Mark is like the cutest person in the land in that like if I leave the house for 4 hours, he was like, I missed you. Like, what are you doing? Like, when are you coming back? Like, he literally misses me when I leave for just like a little day trip, right? So leading up to this trip, he was like, I don't really want you to go. I'm going to miss you. And I was like, excuse me, you're the only partner not being like, go have fun, have the best time. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, it's because I'm going to miss you. It's because I just want you to be with me. I don't like you leaving. Like, I want to be together. And I was like, I totally hear that, but I'm going and it's going to be awesome. Anyway, so he got to a place of being like, okay, go have fun, have a blast, blah, blah, blah. So like getting some photos and like texts and stuff throughout the day. And then same with Bodhi. Bodhi texted me from his iPad, and he's only allowed on his iPad twice if it's during the holidays, the school holidays, which he's technically on right now. He's only allowed 2 times of screen time. So he can either put them together or he can split them up. Anyway, so I was like, oh, that's funny. Okay, so I know he had screen time earlier and now he's back on his iPad texting me, and he was like, I said, how's it going there, babe? Like, oh, I miss you guys so much. And he was like, Mum, everything falls apart when you go. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, it's like you really hold it all together. And I was like, first of all, I felt like super like secretly psyched that he said that. I was like, oh my God, I feel very validated. Like they really need me. Yay. But also what's going on at the house. So anyway, I finally connect with Mark later in the day, and this was like day 2. And he was like, we have a major problem. There is a big plumbing issue at the house. Poet flushed necklaces down her toilet in her bathroom. And I was like, wait, what? That does not sound like her at all. Like, what is going on? What do you mean? She just like put necklaces down there and flushed the toilet? And he's like, yes, your mum was with them, and your mum like had to like get some necklaces out of the toilet. I guess there was a plastic necklace, I know exactly what necklace it is, that she put down the toilet, and my mum got it out. But apparently one must have got sucked in and went down into the pipes. And then all of a sudden, cut to like an hour later, he's hearing like bubbling. Like, he goes into the bathroom and there is shit water, like actual diarrhea poo sludge from however many weeks of poo come bubbling up through the shower in this like brown watery mess. Stinks, like unbelievably disgusting. And it's just filling up the shower. And he was like, emergency. But this is happening like as the kids are getting ready to go to bed. So he's like, who do I call? I obviously can't call our regular plumber. So we couldn't call the regular plumber. He ended up calling the emergency plumber, who came out and started trying to put a snake down the toilet, and that failed miserably. Like it made it almost worse that the snake went down there, more poo's coming up, it's all bubbling up, it's making noise. And then he goes to sleep, and then this is when my mum had the girls sleeping with them, which he was like, I put them with your mum because I was up dealing with like the plumbing issues. And I was like, it's fine. I'm not judging you. It's totally fine. But anyway, he says he got only about 5 hours of sleep because he could hear a dripping noise. So he knew that the plumber was coming in the morning with different tools to try and figure out what she exactly dropped down there. And I guess when the snake went in the night before, it was hitting something really solid. So then I was like, okay, so it can't be a necklace. Like a necklace isn't that solid. And then he was like, I think it's a toy. She must have flushed like a big toy down there. And I just thought it was sort of weird because how do you even fit a big toy down a toilet? But whatever. Somehow this thing is happening. Mark's hearing dripping at like 5 a.m. So he goes downstairs and he's like, I can hear water coming down from somewhere, and it's not from the bathroom. So we have 3 levels to our house. And so Poet's toilet is on the top level. And Mark doesn't know exactly which room is below Poet's toilet. So he's envisioning dripping coming down through our dining room. So he runs to the dining room, and it's like 5:30 a.m. and he can't see anything. And he's like, I can still hear dripping. So he goes into the garage, and there's like brown dripping water pouring from the ceiling down. It's leaking through the ceiling down on top of the cars, Mark's precious cars that like he cares about. We've got like, by the way, it's a Toyota Sienna. Like it's a mum van, but he's so passionate about this car, and it's like poo water's like just dripping down down. This is all happening while I'm like blissfully hanging out with my gals, like having the most amazing
I was going to
time.
intercut and say that like, okay, we get the first message about it at dinner and Teresa and I are like, of course this happens when you're away. And then like the next morning he's FaceTiming and he's like, it's so bad, babe. It's so bad, you know? And he's like
in a dark place.
He's sending us pictures and videos of like the water coming from the ceiling. And I was like, oh, this is really bad.
This is bad. And he's like, this is going to be thousands of dollars. Yeah, and I was like, oh God, like, sorry, but like, I'm trying to be here, be present with everyone, but I'm also then go immediately into like fix it mode where I'm like, right, okay, so if the plumbers are coming, you need to like, and this is the other part of the story. We basically have our house on Airbnb, right, when we're not in town, but these renters booked 6 months in advance. Like they loved our house. They booked so long ago and they're coming that day. So our cleaners, like Angelica, she's like a part of our family, Angelica and Michelle, they're like arriving at 9 a.m. to start cleaning the house to prep it for the renters to come in that day. And so Mark then had to ring our property managers and be like, oh my God, code red, this is what's going on. What are we going to do? And then the property managers, of course, are stressing as well. And they're like,
freaking
oh my
out.
God, the renters are flying in for the house. And all right, we got to try and find another property that's going to be open, but then you guys are going to have to pay for that property. And we were like, wait, what? Like, this is insane. We're already going to have to pay thousands of dollars to fix this situation.
Yes.
And then so I said to Mark, okay, all right, you should just not have the kids at the house. Like, why can't you go and drop the kids over to Frankie and Zach's? And we were crashing at Frankie and Zach's house. And Frankie and Zach are the other parents to, we have our shared son, Isaac. So it's Mark's baby mama, Frankie. We're staying at their house. So I'm like, go drop our kids over to Frankie with my mum. So the house is empty. You can focus on the plumbing. We've got like 3 hours until the renters get there. And then the cleaning ladies obviously can't have kids around while they're cleaning. So like, please go do that. So then he's getting mad at me for trying to micromanage from like 3 hours away. Like I'm just like all blissed out with the gals and I'm trying to micromanage. And he was like,
hold on 1 second. I need to take a bite of my French toast.
Yeah. I was like, hang on, wait a sec. Like it's been so hard for me the past 2 days. Like let me come in and interject with exactly how you need to handle this. Anyway, so he's like starting to get pissed off at me because I'm trying to do my control thing. And then the cleaners are there trying to clean and then the plumber's there and the plumber's like, I'm going to have to open up the ceiling. And Mark's like, what? And he's like, yeah. So they start opening up the full ceiling. And then not only do they open up the ceiling, they have to open up the side wall in the garage.
It was like 10 feet.
It was so much wall is opened up, trying to figure out, and then they had to cut the pipes to figure out what the hell is stuck in the pipes, is turned off the water.
The cleaning ladies are using pool water to clean the house.
The cleaning ladies were using pool water. And I was like, are we sure that's okay for the floors? Like, is that okay for the floors? I doubt it. And I was like, oh my God, this is an actual disaster. But then meanwhile, I'm still feeling bad about the renters coming in. So I'm like, I don't want them to have to cancel. They really fell in love with our house. Like, could we just say to them, we'll give you a discount and you just can't use that one bedroom.
Don't use the whole poo garage.
Oh my God, the poo garage. But Mark's like, the toilets might not even work. So it was just like one thing after the next. And then finally they get to the source of what it is. This is what's wild. So of course, Mark, being very stressed out, has been yelling at Poet, and he was saying to her, he told me, well, the kids also dobbed on him. The kids I said to Bodhi, like, oh, what did he say to Poet? And I also asked my mum too, and everyone was like, he was very angry at her. And I was like, I hear that. I just felt so sorry for her because she's 4. And I was like, oh, I'm not even there to be like, oh, darling, don't worry. Look, these things happen and this is a teachable moment. Like I wasn't there to regulate emotionally. And I heard that like he just sort of yelled at her. But I think what he was doing was he was trying to find out, what did you put down there? I need to know, like, what the hell was it? We need to know. And she couldn't really come up with exactly what it was. So then he was like, are you lying to me? And she was like, not, she was trying to be like, it was a necklace. No, it was. And she kept sort of changing what it was that she put in there. So then he couldn't really get to the bottom of it with her. The plumbers were asking. Finally, they found it. It was a huge, Sarah's seen the photo and it's absolutely foul because it's got shit all over it. But it was a huge, like, triangular piece of solid wood, which doesn't even make any sense.
Makes like zero sense.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like a massive piece of triangular wood that had somehow got in the pipe. So what we realized is that Poet didn't flush anything down the toilet. She had put necklaces in the toilet and my mum scooped them out, but she never flushed anything down. It just was this mad, crazy coincidence that obviously a piece of the frame of the house that was obviously in place as they were building the property must have eroded and sort of come away, and it ended up stuck in the pipe. And that's what the plumber said as well. He was like, this doesn't fit down a toilet. This has come internally from a pipe somewhere. And in fact, like, you can probably claim it on insurance and have the builders pay for all of it because it's going to end up being like a $7,000 bill. And then, of course, I'm feeling awful for Poet, and I'm finding out this information as I'm just arriving back home. I've dropped Sarah off, just arriving back home, and I actually get to see the moment that Mark gets to come. I'm at Frankie and Zach's house, and Mark gets to come in, like, tail between his legs, and he's like, Poet, can I talk to you? And he was so beautiful in the moment, and he was like, do you know what? It wasn't you. You didn't do it. And she, like, hysterically sort of laughed and cried and, like, with sheer, like, joy that it wasn't her. But she must have convinced herself that she had flushed the toilet when she put the necklaces down and had caused this big stink. But anyway, all of that went down when we were blissfully unaware, living our best with the gals, having a connected time. And, like, only hours after Bodhi had said to me, it was like the precursor. He was like, everything falls apart when you're not here.
Like, what had even happened before?
What? Yeah, I know. I was like, what the hell? But anyway, but he held it down. Do you know what? Like, it sounds so bad, but he actually did. He fully held it down, and it was an opportunity for him to, you know, sit with Poet and be like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't have all the information. And also, she must have sort of made a story up to fit what she thought had happened. And I really felt for her in the moment. And we've talked about it a lot and processed it since then. And she's actually she's not even upset about how she was in trouble. She's just so relieved that it wasn't her. She's so grateful that she wasn't the one that messed up the house in that way. And, you know, the good ending to the story is that our renters came in. They didn't care about the holes in the garage. The toilet got fixed. Like, it was about 45 minutes until they arrived. They were the best renters we've ever had. The house was so tidy when we got back in that I was like, we didn't even really need Angelica to come back in and clean. Like,
wow.
They looked after the property so well. They were so beautiful. They gave us such an amazing review. And we were like, wow, there we go.
What? I didn't know the end of the story. So I didn't know that they actually ended up coming all the poo in the garage and everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, everything got cleaned up. Like, we had 45 minutes. And Mark did a lot of that grunt work, like the actual cleaning of the shit from he did all that. Like, and he's so funny. He is the first to unblock a toilet. Like, we immediately blocked a toilet like an hour and a half later at Frankie's. Like, I took a dump and then used too much toilet paper, which I always do. And then my mum like took a dump on top of the dump and then blocked the toilet.
God, no.
And then my mum was like so bad at plunging. She was just doing it so softly. And I was like, you got to put your neck into it. Like, really, like, get into it. And then so I was like, Mark, do you care for some more time with some poo? And he was like, oh my God. So he came and like plunged my mum's like blocked toilet.
Oh my God. See, I think that what would happen for me is that I would have left that house and never gone back. I mean, not really, but I would even like, oh my, I can't. The level of embarrassment that poo causes me is beyond. It's beyond.
I cannot.
Like I went to a guy's house one time and like I was trying to use this bathroom and somebody had gone in to use the bathroom right before me. And then I went in and then I was like, it was like earlier in the morning and I was like, oh my God, I have to go number 2. And so then I like went and the toilet was an old toilet and it was still running. And so it wouldn't flush.
No.
And then I was like, oh my gosh. And then I started sweating so bad.
No.
No plunger in the bathroom. No plunger. I was like, who doesn't have a plunger? And then I was like, okay. I took the top off of the toilet. I was like fiddling with all the things. I'm in there for so long. It's still running. It won't flush like nothing. No. And I'm like, I think I just have to leave the house and never, ever, ever see these people again. Like, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do.
You're just like, retreat.
So then I like go out of the bathroom and I go to my friend who was in there right before me. And I was like, did the toilet work when you went in there? And she was like, yeah, it flushed. And I was like, well, it's not flushing now. It's not flushing now. And I don't know what to do. She was like, okay, I'll go in there. And then she went in and I'm like fully, because the guy still doesn't know, I'm still fully sweating, all my internal everything. And she goes in and she was able to get it to flush. And she came out, she's like, I flushed it. And I was like,
I got you.
God.
She's like, I got you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I am a chronic like plugger. I plug all the toilets because I use so much toilet paper. I just do. Teresa. Like I literally use so much toilet paper. I want everything to be spick and span. It needs to be
you gotta
clean.
Get a Japanese toilet, the ones that spray your bottom. You gotta get that.
I know, but I did have that, and it short circuited my entire home in Adelaide, so we had to get rid of it. We're like, this doesn't work for like a 1960s like electrical panel and the plumbing. It just doesn't work. But we, I always block toilets. I'm like known for it. I'm like notorious for blocking toilets. Mark's like, why do you use so much toilet paper? I was like, why do you not? Maybe you have leftover poo on your bum hole. I never do because I use so much toilet paper. I will always be clean. But yeah, I do it all the time. But I have lots of tricks for it. I've got tricks to get rid of smells. I got, I think we talked about this on our like first ever podcast where we went through and I talked about the art of the muffle when you need to fart and you go over to the side and you muffle with toilet paper. You put this is also why I block, because you put toilet paper in first for the poo to land on it so it doesn't make the splash.
Terrible.
So that's why there's so much toilet paper.
You can always cough. You can just be like,
oh my God. And then spray, if you have a little bit of perfume, if you know you're taking a dump and you've got perfume in your bag, spray the toilet paper, like spray the toilet paper left on the roll, because the smell will go into the paper and they'll just be like, oh my God, this girl smells amazing even when she shits. Like, because it's like, you know how the air is like warm when you go in after someone's poo? But if it smells good,
I
don't know. It's so gross. Isn't that
what's
foul?
nuts is that I can't even say like, I have to go. I can't even say it. I have to go
say number 2.
I can't even do it now.
Oh my God.
For me, it's like I'm going to go to the bathroom. And I'm I'm going to the bathroom. And
you're so funny like that.
I know.
It must be your upbringing. Proper. You're proper.
It must be some sort of proper, upbringing. Okay, so here's my question that I want to ask you. So what is your takeaway then from your time away, like, and all of that to say, like, of course, like all that craziness went down, but like for you, what was your takeaway from like the experience and being with these women and like, what do you feel?
I would say I never think that I need that. I'm always like, I don't need it. I just want to be with the kids. I just want to stay with everyone. But then when I was in it, when I was present in it, and I was like, oh, wow, this is so good for the soul. It was amazing to just connect with people and like hear other stories uninterrupted and have me time. And apart from the fact that my tits got so engorged, unbelievably engorged. They were so painful for like 3 days afterwards. Oh my God, I couldn't even hand pump. They were so painful. Oh my gosh, I was not prepared. Anyway, aside from that, like sleeping in a bed on my own and sleeping in and like just having great girlfriend chats about really important things too, like big life things, as well as like silly, funny, gossipy things, and laughing and having a drink, and just it was so like joyful that I think my takeaway is that having moments of self-care in that way had me coming back into my everyday life so energized and so like grateful for my family, and it made me appreciate them and my life even more, which is so you wouldn't imagine that that's the case, like that you would come back and be like, oh, I'm back into the daily grind, but it didn't. I came back and I was like, look at these people that fill my life up so much. I get so much joy from them. I'm so thankful. And actually 2 days was enough for me. I heard someone else say like, oh, I could do with another night. And I was like, those 2 nights were perfect for me, because then I would have started really sort of longing for my comfort of being back home. But that's my takeaway, is that imagine if we did that for ourselves every year. Yeah. Can you imagine like what that would be like? Anyway, yeah. I loved it. What about you? What was your takeaway?
Well, I felt so grateful for the fact that like when I left, I felt like there wasn't one part of me that was worried about anything. Like my husband is so on it and efficient, and like the kids like are crazy about him, and you know, he's not, right now we're on strike, right? So he's not like going and doing a full day of work somewhere. Like he's, you know, that whole thing was sort of like, you know, a few years ago, like he would get to go work on his show and, you know, he'd be gone for like 12 hours or whatever. It just makes like the logistics of everything a little bit more complicated for the idea of wrapping your head around like, okay, I'm going to leave. He's working. So I got to make sure that I can, you know, nanny pick up the kids and like blah, blah, blah. And so there's just like, logistically, that would have felt more challenging to me, but to know that he was like around and available, and that the kids were excited to like have, you know, this time with him, and that I was excited that like Winter was going to sleep with him or with Sonia. Like that was kind of the plan, is wherever she felt the most comfortable. So it was like, if she like was going to sleep with Eric, I knew that it would be better than like her wanting my milk. So she did sleep. She just woke him up a lot. So she slept, but she would like kind of wake him up a little bit, and then she would go back to sleep. But it's like so hard to be woken up over and over again.
Yes, it is.
But that feeling of like leaving and not feeling like I have to do anything, I can just go, was such a nice gift. Like that was just such a gift. And I didn't even have to like say like, I want to leave and not have to do it. It was just like done. You know, like everybody was just like, oh, we got this. Like you go and you do it.
He's so good at like logistics and responsibilities and like planning, and
his forte.
He's great at that.
Yeah, he's better
so
at that stuff in life than I am, and like, you know, so that was awesome. And then when I was there, it was like so positive and beautiful, my response from home. So I felt, even though I was like giggling at Wyatt's message, I knew that even though he had 26 minutes of deep sleep, he was like totally fine, you know. And
he was so excited for you.
Yeah. And if it's not Winter waking him up, it's Esme waking him up, because Esme doesn't know this, but Esme yells out at night because she has like these night dream things or whatever. And so she'll yell, get away from me, you know, and then you just like jolts out of bed, and then she's back asleep, and then you're like fully awake. So anyway, that part of it was so amazing. And then having that time there to connect, I constantly kept telling myself like, really take this in, you know, because like I'm getting getting up and I'm walking around in the morning and I'm listening to the birds and I'm drinking coffee alone and I'm by myself, you know, just kind of like just seeing nature and everything. And I was like, wow, this is so awesome. And the women were amazing. The games were fun. Like, you know, playing archery and like going and sitting by the lake. And we had this moment by the lake. And I highly recommend this, you guys, if you even do like a dinner with girlfriends or whatever, and you have some time together, like this beautiful thing where you say, you know, what do you want to leave behind and what do you want to take with you from this experience? And so we would all kind of go through and there's this beautiful photo by the lake that we've put up, but it's like, what are we leaving here that has not been serving us? And what are we going to take with us that is going to serve us, that's going to like send us into these like high vibes. And so we all, you know, kind of talked through that. And it was so...
Do you want to share what yours was?
Yes. I'm trying to remember what my leave behind was. I left it there, so I don't even remember it. Do you remember?
Oh my gosh. I think it was anxiety.
Yes. I get caught up in like anxiety spirals about really dumb things. You guys know this. You've listened to our podcast before. You know that I find myself into these, like, I would say seasons of anxiety, because sometimes I go through stages where it just like doesn't happen and I can let things go. And like, then there's other times where I'm like, wait, is that person upset with me? Like, did I do something wrong? Did I not write that person when I was supposed to? Did I say something weird? Like, I just go through these like spirals. And so I was like, I don't love that. It really makes me so tense and I want to leave that behind. And I wanted to take with me this connection. I think we sort of, it's hard to sometimes be open to like these moments of vulnerability. And it's something that I actually really love. So I'm happy to sit down next to anybody and just start chatting. And this moment was so beautiful, and taking with us like the connection and these women and the community. It was really special.
So
what did you leave behind and what did you take with you? I can't remember.
I left behind negative people. Negative. I shouldn't label them negative people, but people in my orbit through work. People in my orbit through work who have sort of a pessimistic viewpoint or a negative outlook on things. And I've been navigating a few dynamics in my life where those people are around me. And I wanted to sort of leave how affected I am by that. And I wanted to take with me my life motto, which is high vibes only. Like even in hardship, and Mark and I talk about this so much, it's like, how do we lean into that, and like, how can that be a teachable moment? And so I wanted my high vibes only way of being to be the most prevalent thing without being triggered by these particular, influences in my life. So that was what I focused on. And it's so nice because like I came home, my husband is the most deep thinking, beautiful, soulful person that I can come home from a trip like this and continue that kind of conversation. Like, what are you leaving? And that's all we've been talking about for the past like 24 hours, just like life and up leveling. And there's so much stuff going on. It's like, how do we figure out a way to keep moving forward with like the highest of intentions and purpose and like be the very best people that we can possibly be.
With love and kindness and
with love, kindness, compassion, understanding, not letting fear lead us, like all these things. And I think like a lot of those themes were prevalent during that trip, and a lot of the conversations we had were surrounding that. And it's so nice to bring that into our life and then apply it to our everyday. So that was so lovely.
And our whole entire drive home was us talking through the next 2 years and manifesting.
Yeah.
That was our whole drive. If you've never done
that
with a friend before, you should totally do it. Like Teresa talked me through the whole thing, and it was so much fun because it just felt like we were plotting out the years ahead, not in like a, oh, this is like a lot of work way, but in like just like the best. It was just great.
In a very, and you do it like you script it. Like, I am doing this. We are traveling around, meeting all of our daisies around the world, doing live shows. We are doing this. We have this Daisy Dream Circle coming up. We were talking about all these incredible things that, aren't happening right now, but they are happening. The universe is bringing them towards us. So we both asked each other about that, and it was such a beautiful way to wrap up the trip. And I feel like it's carried me through the next week as I'm here in so many clothes, just like clothes, piles of clothes and books and games all around me as I pack up and get ready to hit the road in the RV with the kids for my dream trip. I'm so excited. We're hitting 5 different cities. Mark's going to be doing his Movie Makers Collective teaching on the road. I think he's going to do one in Santa Fe. He's doing another one in Denver, and he's doing another one in Austin, Texas. So I'll be there as well, cheering him on if you guys want to see us.
Yeah, you got to do it.
It's so fun. Anyway, guys, this was a really fun, wild solo episode. Lots of poo talk. Woo, woo, woo. Hope we didn't gross you out too much.
You just made me sweat the whole time. That was all.
I was like, I won't be editing any of this out.
I know.
Pooey Pants Palmer. Woo.
Oh my God. Okay. We love you, daisies. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Bye.
Woo, woo.